Hey guys, it's Girl Got Game. Welcome back to England Exchange, where this time we're doing Ashley's route, who is the very cute blonde that works at this bar we're currently at. This is the first time we meet her, so I thought we'll start from here and then do all our choices and things to try and get on her route and see how things go with Ashley. Ashley seems very nice, so I hope she is very nice. Let's find out, shall we? There was a woman working the bar, and the outfit she wore was rather revealing. It reminded me of the sort of thing you'd see on a Buxom Wench on an Oktoberfest poster or a Halloween barmaid costume. She didn't seem to mind, as far as I could tell. I just hoped she wasn't cold. I hesitated in the doorway, unsure whether someone was supposed to seat me or if I should seat myself. Glancing up, she waved me over.
Hello, how can I help?
She paused in the middle of her sentence, glancing across the room. I followed her gaze and saw a slab of beef walk into the pub, so to speak. He had dirty blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and an extremely fit body. The kind of guy you assumed had a six-pack just from the way he walked. He eyed her carefully, then crossed and sat down next to me. When I turned back to face the bartender, she was gone. Bye, Brendan. Since we're doing your route next, I'm just going to skip through this for now. And then we're going to go back to where Ashley shows up again. So there we go. He's gone.
Hey, can I get you anything?
I looked up in surprise. Ashley was in front of me and smiling cheerily, the clean glass still in her hand. No, thank you. I can't stay. I just wanted to check this place out.
I overheard your conversation. I hope you don't mind me saying. I also live at the one. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
If you ever need anything, just ask. You can find me here most of the time. I'm always happy to help.
She smiled brightly at me and I found myself blushing again. Right. Well then, it's about time for me to head off to work, I think. I stood and began to shuffle towards the doorway. Ashley giggled behind me.
Have a good day.
I will. Why are all the people here so attractive? It wasn't about finding someone I might want to date anymore. I was trying to choose between them. Perhaps I should get to know them first as friends. After all, if we lived in the same building, I wouldn't want to have a short fling with someone that ended in bad feelings. I'd have to see them around every day. Had to be even worse for Brendan and Ashley if they lived and worked together. Speaking of which way was it to the hotel? Alright. We get to meet Aussie. And get that whole shebang over and done with. And since we are interested in a lady, let's call our friends and let Jinsu know. Does Ashley count? Well, there's this blonde bartender at the pub next door. Seems really bubbly and sweet, and she has a very nice figure.
Go on.
That's it. We barely met, and she's just getting over a breakup with her boyfriend.
Aw, don't give up. She might go both ways.
I think you're getting way ahead of yourself.
Well, keep your eyes open. You never know.
Thanks, Jinsu. Alright, since Ashley's here, we'll do this scene. After a hard day's work, finally it was dinner time. The hostel had a dining area where everybody could eat, next to the kitchen. People could order in, or could gather together to eat a group meal. With that in mind, I crept into the kitchen, hoping to find something simple I could make. When I entered, I discovered Angelo, Peggy, and Ashley were sitting around the larger table, each taking something from a platter of vegetables and noodles. Another guy I hadn't met before was also there. That must be Mark, the one Danny said was cute.
I really hope you like it. I worked hard on it.
It's free food. I'll definitely like it. You'd make a good wife, Ashley.
You think so?
Ashley flushed as Angelo laughed heartily.
You belong in the Stone Age, Angelo.
What? It was a compliment. She's not mad about it.
That's beside the point.
And that set them both off, shouting insults back and forth. Mark, sitting nearby, watched with wide eyes. I tried to figure out a way to casually approach and join the group, but I wasn't sure what to do. It'd probably look bad if I just walked up and asked to eat some of their food, especially since I didn't help make it. Maybe it would be better to come back later and take a peek in the fridge. I started out of the kitchen, but before I could make it out the door, I locked eyes with Ashley.
Amalia! Are you hungry? I made stir-fry if you want some. I'm sure there's plenty for all of us.
Really? Are you okay with that?
Of course!
Despite Ashley's assurances, I glanced at the others. Peggy and Angelo were still at each other's throats, but Mark offered me a smile and gestured to the seat next to him. I sat down nervously. Thank you, it looks really good. Ashley got a plate for me and spooned food onto it, while Mark got me a glass of water.
Just can't comprehend that your way of life is totally...
Maybe if you calmed down a little, it wouldn't be so...
Don't mind them. They've been at it all day.
Really?
Yeah. It's a bit rough, but I'm sure they both mean well.
It's interesting to see people with such dynamic opinions.
And you guys aren't going to stop them?
I don't want to get involved. I don't like to fight with anyone.
I glanced at Mark, who shrugged.
Everything ends one way or another. I mean, these kinds of things are interesting to discuss, but as long as it's not directly affecting me, it doesn't have any meaning.
What? What did that mean? There was an odd tension in the air. A few seconds later, I realized Peggy had stopped arguing with Angelo and was instead staring at Mark.
How can you say that you don't care about anything that doesn't affect you personally? Does that mean if you saw someone in pain, you wouldn't do anything to help them because it wasn't you who was hurting?
Oh? No, that's not what I meant. I just meant that if how someone else is behaving isn't causing direct harm, or if it's just a theoretical concept that isn't harming anyone in particular that I can see, I won't bother with it.
But theoretical concepts can harm people.
I suppose.
Well?
Mark seemed to consider Peggy's point for a few moments and shrugged.
I can't really be bothered.
Oh!
Peggy stood and grabbed her half-full plate.
I can't stand people like you!
She marched off in a huff. Angelo chuckled as he watched her go.
Thanks for having my back, man.
Angelo held out his hand for a high five. Mark looked at it with interest.
Your palm is quite nice, but I wasn't doing it for you. It does seem pointless, don't you think?
What?
I mean, everyone dies. Life is short, so I don't think you should argue so much. It's a waste of time.
Angelo grunted and went back to his food.
Well, Mark, since you're new here, how do you like it?
It is very nice. Everyone is very friendly.
Aw, that's sweet. Don't you think, Angelo?
Angelo grunted again. He didn't seem particularly interested in the conversation anymore.
Well, anyways, what brought you here, Mark?
Mark frowned.
Exploration.
Oh, that's nice. Are you at uni, or did your family send you here?
I don't think that's important enough to spend time talking about.
He tilted his head to the side and smiled.
I don't like people prying into my past, if you don't mind.
I set my fork down, surprised. Did Mark want everybody to hate him, or was he seriously just accidentally pissing everybody off? Ashley, her cheeks gone pale from nerves, anxiety, anger, nodded and picked up her plate.
I'm going to go clean up now. It was nice eating with you.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much for your food and conversation. I hope we can do this again.
Ashley shot him a puzzled glance. Angelo stood and handed his plate to Ashley, then lumbered out of the room. Alright, well now that Ashley's gone, we can just skip through that. There's Aussie, there's Angie. I'll say I'm sorry. Alright. Yeah, do that one. Peggy. No, not gonna go try out. Oh, there's Gihyo. First time meeting you, and then there's Peggy again. And I'm too busy for you this time around, girl. Computing, I guess. There's see Gihyo. Ashley, where are you at, girl? Let's spend time with Danny since we have like 1 point with Angelo already. Oh, there you are, Ashley. Whoops. Skip that. Alright. I came into the kitchen slightly late that evening, planning to just grab a quick sandwich or something before bed. Ashley was there, scrubbing at something in the sink.
Oh, Malia! I'm sorry, I just put the food away. I was washing up. There's leftovers in the fridge if you want them.
Here, let me help you with that.
Oh, you're sweet.
I stepped up next to Ashley at the sink. A frying pan and what looked like a casserole dish were there along with some plates. What were you making earlier?
Fish pie.
Fish pie? Why would you put fish in a dessert?
Not a dessert pie.
What other kind of pie is there?
Fish pie, pork pie, steak and kidney pie, shepherd's pie. Don't you have pie in America?
I guess we have chicken pot pie and lobster pot pie.
So you call it a pork pie if it's savory?
I guess so. I never really thought about it. There really wasn't any reason you couldn't bake meat or fish or vegetables inside a pie shell after all. Curious now, I peeked inside the fridge, but I couldn't see a pie tin or any slices. Where are the leftovers?
In the top there.
How is that a pie? There's no pastry. It's just a pile of mashed potatoes on top of some fish and cheese sauce?
Just try it.
Well, if Ashley had made it, it was probably good. Even if it wasn't a real pie. Says I, the American. This is a fake pie. Okay, Peggy's trying to get a thing in. There's Gihyo, there's Brandon. Okay, we can skip through all the stuff with Brendan. Barf. Barf. Okay, Aussie again, and there we go. Here's my girl. We'll just exit out of Angie's angry face. I was just back from work and heading into the kitchen for a drink when I heard the sound of James complaining. My feet were already in motion. I didn't have a chance to take cover. I just hoped whatever he demanded this time it wouldn't be too terrible. To my surprise, it was Ashley that he was scolding.
Took the last apple from the bowl.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't realize. Would you like me to get some more?
Yeah, that'd be good.
He fished around in his pocket, dislodging a wadded-up receipt in the process.
Here, money. Be sure it's done by morning.
All right. Oh, Malia, did you want something?
While I stood there like a rabbit, James oozed past me and out of the room. I was just going to pour myself some orange juice?
Oh, I can do that.
Humming to herself, she pulled down a tall glass from the cabinet overhead.
Half glass or full?
You don't have to do that. You pour drinks for people all day.
I don't mind, really.
But she handed me the glass and neatly stepped out of my way.
Since you're not paying for your order, you don't need me to measure the amount.
She smiled at me, but I couldn't understand why. How are you so nice all the time?
What? Shouldn't I be nice to you? You're nice to me.
Well, thanks. But, I mean, James. He's so nasty all the time. And it's his job to stock the breakfast food, not yours, but...
Oh, the apples! I better get going. Would you like to come along?
Run errands with Ashley? They weren't even her errands. Absolutely, girl. Sure, I'll go with you if you'd like some company.
Great!
Ashley led the way, not to the nearest convenience store, but to a street with open-air market stalls. Traders called out to advertise fresh fruit, vegetables, fish, meat, and flowers. Other booths displayed clothing and household goods, but for some reason their sellers were quieter. British tradition? Uh-huh.
I've always liked market day.
I walked past a display of carved wooden ducks staring up at me with blank longing. I guess it's interesting. Still, doesn't it bother you at all when James bosses you around for no reason? I know everyone else finds it really annoying. Ashley spread her hands helplessly.
What would it help to be annoyed? It wouldn't make me happy, it wouldn't make him happy, and it wouldn't fetch the apples. Sometimes patrons come into the pub angry or sad about their lives. Sometimes they need a friend to listen. Sometimes they just want someone to shout at. It's best not to argue. It wouldn't help them if I were angry. Besides, I'm sure they mean well. They're just tired and emotional. If I'm nice to them, maybe I can help. It feels good to help people.
And James?
I'm sure he's not a bad person deep down. He must be very lonely. I don't think he has any friends except for Oscar.
Who's Oscar?
Oh, he's my boss at the pub. He and James were childhood friends. They've known each other forever. They even managed to go into business next to each other. Isn't that sweet?
I suppose.
James must have a good heart to keep a friendship for so long, don't you think?
Just trying to figure out if we're supposed to play along into Ashley's, you know, there's good in everybody kind of thing, or if we have to kind of show her that, well, no, not everybody. You can't let yourself, you know, be walked on either. I don't know. It is James. Let's do I'm not so sure. And see what happens. Maybe he just needs love. It would be nice to think so, but I'm not sure it's true, really. It's possible for someone to have a friend or a family member that they care about and still be a really bad person. Truth.
You think he's a really bad person?
James? No. I don't know. I don't know him that well. I guess it wouldn't be fair for me to judge him yet.
That makes sense.
Suddenly, a market stall caught her eye.
Look! Apples! I love Brayburns, don't you?
I guess? I'm not even sure if that's a British-American thing. I don't really know a lot about apples.
Should we get some other fruit as well? James gave me enough for some variety. Apples are crisp and delicious, but bananas have more vitamins, and oranges. Just the smell of an orange would brighten the whole kitchen. Even Aussie might smile.
It would be nice to have more options at breakfast, but won't he be mad?
Oh, I'm sure he won't mind. I'll make him think it was his idea.
With Ashley sparkling at him, even James might find it hard to stay grumpy.
Now, not too many bananas. They go off quickly.
Together, we picked out a selection of fruits and returned to the hostel, feeling like we'd made a little change to improve everyone's lives. It did feel good to do something nice. There you go. Alright, well, we can do this because Ashley's here. In early February, Danny's soccer team had their first match. He formally invited the entire hostel to come see it if they wanted, but let everyone know he wouldn't hold it against them if they didn't show up. Not surprisingly, not everyone wanted to go. In the end, Ashley, Peggy, and I walked to the park together, tiny flags in our hands. Ashley was such a nice girl that she couldn't possibly turn down the invitation, but Peggy seemed particularly excited about cheering for Danny. I knew Peggy and Danny were good friends, but seeing the way they interacted, I wondered. I hadn't seen any signs of a real romance blossoming, but I hadn't asked them either. It seemed like everyone in this hostel was young and single. It would only make sense if some of us paired off. Hold on a second, I got like something caught in my throat. Hopefully that clears. Well, if they did end up dating, I hope they would be happy together. They should be. Danny was practically perfect. He was smart, attractive, well organized. He was constantly helping out around the hostel and looking after everyone. Woo! Go Danny! Danny, now dashing out onto the field for the first time, looked into the stands and saw us. He beamed and waved, and Peggy waved frantically back. I held up a hand and smiled, and then he was in, focused on the game. I took some pictures on my phone, thinking they might be useful at some point in the future. His team won the game, as was expected. Danny the flawless. So flawless it was almost suspicious. I suppose it isn't fair to be suspicious of him just because he's a great person. There have to be some people like him in the world.
Pardon? Did you say something?
Nope. We crossed to the end of the field to congratulate Danny on his win, waiting for him to finish his team's victory speech before approaching. Danny! You did it! Good job! Peggy jumped into his arms as soon as he turned around.
Thanks, Peggy.
Congratulations!
Thank you all for coming. It means a lot to me.
Of course! It's the least we could do. So, are we going to go out for a celebratory drink or something?
No, that's all right. I've got some work to do back at the hostel. Been neglecting my studies a bit.
Really? That's not like you at all. Come on, a little drink wouldn't hurt.
No, I'm fine.
He said it firmly, and although he wasn't being rude, his humorless attitude killed the celebratory atmosphere. Well, okay. That's fine, then. I bet we've all got work to do anyways. Are we walking back together?
He shook his head. I have a few other things to do on the pitch. Sorry.
Ah, it's fine. Well, good game. I guess we'll head home then.
It was very nice seeing you.
Danny nodded, and Peggy, Ashley, and I headed for the hostel. We got to the edge of the park when I patted my pockets. Something was missing. Oh no, my phone!
Don't tell me you left it back there. Want us to come with you to get it?
No, it's fine. It'll only be a moment. Alright, we can do that. And then... bye, Danny. I left the field, too wrapped up in what just happened to hurry much. It's about time. Had trouble finding it. Yeah, but Danny found it for me. Oh, how sweet of him. Anyways, let's get back. Ashley says she's going to make some flapjacks to celebrate. I nodded, not sure whether I should tell her that Danny might not appreciate the celebration. Most people were humble just for show, but something about the way Danny said what he did made me think he sincerely, earnestly believed that there was something wrong with him. But what made him feel that way about himself? What was wrong? We may never know this time around. Oh. There's Peggy. Well, maybe next time, girl. Okay. There's Ashley again, so... I crept into the dining room, following my nose. Somebody had cooked something lovely. I was met by Aussie, Brendan, Ashley, and to my utter surprise, Chico. Ashley looked up and smiled when I came in. Hello, everyone. I glanced at the plate loaded with food in the center of the table. I don't know if... perhaps... I could have some. Huh. Aussie scoffed and opened her mouth to respond, but...
Of course, the more the merrier.
Aussie glared at me, but shut her mouth. The decision had been made. I smiled at Ashley in thanks and got some food for myself and took a seat with the others. I hadn't seen much of Jihyo around the hostel, but it didn't seem like I would be able to get to know her very well in this group of people. Aussie and Brendan were deep in discussion about some spat between a celebrity couple, each on total opposite sides of the debate. Ashley kept trying to make peace, but they were not having it. Jihyo, meanwhile, quietly ate her food and observed. After a while, I drew out Ashley's attention and we began a conversation about different kinds of foods we liked and restaurants we had been to. Jihyo didn't join in, but she turned her deep brown eyes on me and I grew hot under her gaze. It was so... intense. Like having the weight of 1,000 rocks hung on my shoulders. Despite that, I actually got her to laugh a few times, and Ashley and I had fun. As the conversation went on, I suddenly noticed the rest of the room was quiet. Aussie and Brendan had stopped arguing and were now staring at me. I don't know why, but their stares felt different from Jiho's. Aussie's especially made me uncomfortable. I did my best to ignore the feeling of being judged and carry on. Eventually, we finished our meal, and I helped Ashley clean up after everyone else left. Thanks for another great meal, Ashley. She blushed and shook her head.
No problem.
It was an odd evening, but a pleasant one. Storm clouds are brewing already. Okay, so... You know what? Since we're on Ashley's route, I'll make a concerted effort to try and be nice to Aussie. Okay. And we'll joke around about Star Wars. Oh. Well. I woke up early on Valentine's Day, feeling quite lonely. When I was a little kid, Valentine's was a fun day where everyone in class would trade tiny paper cards and candy hearts. But when we were older, it got weird to give Valentines to people who were just your friends. And since I'd never been in a relationship, I'd never gotten a serious Valentine. It was hard not to feel overwhelmed sometimes by all the romantic advertising and decoration around New York City. Buildings flashed red with hearts and roses, couples posed by the love statue for photographs. Of course, James couldn't be bothered to decorate the hostel for a holiday, so at least there was none of that here. Still, I felt lonely. Jinsu and Nene sent me their best wishes by email, but explained that postage was too expensive, so they didn't bother to mail me real cards. Probably for the best, considering their going away present. They might think it was funny to send an obscene Valentine. This trip was supposed to be my fresh start at romance. Why was I still alone? I paged through old messages on my phone, feeling more than a little sorry for myself. There was a quiet knock at the door, and I slid out of bed to answer it.
Happy Valentine's Day, Malia.
Ashley held out a small wrapped package out to me. What's this?
I got you a present. Happy Valentine's.
Ashley, I had no idea. Did this mean she liked me? I didn't get you anything. I feel terrible.
No, don't be silly. I don't want anything in return. All I want is your happiness. Everybody should be happy on Valentine's Day.
At that point, I realized she had a bag slung over her shoulder filled with tiny packages.
I've got to give presents to everyone else. See you later.
So it wasn't because she liked me. It was because she liked everyone. Well, it was still really sweet of her. I shut the door and eagerly unwrapped the present. A small stuffed animal grinned up at me, a bunny with glasses and a red scarf. He looked like a miniature Harry Potter, and I laughed when I saw him. I sat him on the nightstand next to my bed and smiled. Thanks, Ashley. Happy Valentine's to you, too. What a sweetheart. I passed by Ashley in the hall. Wait, that was strange. I'm sure that when I first saw her, she was strutting down the hall doing a sashay, as if she were walking down a catwalk. But when I turned to look again, she was walking normally. I guess I just had a weird image in my mind for some reason. Maybe I'm just feeling insecure about how pretty she is. She's really nice, though. Not like Aussie. Ugh, no, don't even think about her. I shook my head and went on my way. Sashaying on the catwalk. What's that about? Danny, I think? Yeah. Okay, and then we're at work, and then Peggy's here, and then we get into a spat, and then there's Brendan again. Oh, well, that's new. Okay.
I mean, you get me, right?
I'd rather get Ashley. That is such a satisfying face from you. I'm happy.
What?
Sorry. That just slipped out. I started my mostly untouched drink, wondering if I could blame it for what I'd said, or if I'd be better off using it to cool my red cheeks. Or to dump it on myself as an excuse to escape.
You're like that too? Jesus, what is it with women?
I have no idea what you... Wait, 2?
Yeah, Ashley's bi. Didn't you know? She'll sleep with anything.
Including him, apparently. Shots fired. Okay, well, Jinsu was right to not give up hope.
Well, I can tell when I'm barking up the wrong tree.
He sneered at me and walked away, apparently no longer interested in my company. Was that what I had wanted to happen?
Yes.
Nervously, I shot a glance at Ashley's end of the bar, but she was still surrounded by admirers and didn't seem to have heard any of our conversation. I hope. I had come in here to vent, but now I felt even more confused. Why was dealing with people so complicated? I don't know, girl. I wish I knew.